It's the second worst mass shooting in Canadian history.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love.
This is a remote community relative to kind of big cities. It's 2,500 people. You just realize how shattered that place is because everyone will know someone. For us, that's still setting in of just how tightly knit this place was and how profound this will be for people.
Well, I'm joined by Leyland Cecco. Thanks so much for dialing in, Leyland. I know it's early where you are. So obviously the details of what tragically and horrifyingly unfolded in Tumbler Ridge yesterday are still emerging, but we know there were 25 injured, 9 dead at a shooting at a school and a local home raid. Tell me about what we know so far.
We actually know surprisingly little. The police briefed media last night and they confirmed that there are 10 people dead in the school shooting and the residential shooting, including the perpetrator. But the police were very vague in terms of giving Canadians a sense of what actually happened. We don't know what the weapon was or how many weapons might have been used. We don't know the identity of the shooter. We don't know the relationship between the shooter and the victims in the residential unit.
Right.
All that to say, I mean, it is very early. This is a remote community relative to kind of big cities. It's 2,500 people. There's a detachment of police of only 5 people. Like, to give people a sense of how quickly the police were able to respond, within 2 minutes they were there, which I think speaks to both the immediacy of the situation, but also how tight-knit and small that community is.
Yes, so tell me more about the community. As you say, it's 2,500 people. This was the one secondary school in the town, right? But I mean, you're just listening to the news reporting, you get a sense of this very small, tight community where people rarely locked their doors. You know, a place that really felt like it was safe and secure.
I mean, I'm biased. I'm from British Columbia myself. It's a beautiful part of the country, but it's like a lot of BC small towns, right? These are people where you know virtually everyone, for better, for worse. You know, my dad grew up in a BC small town. I spent my summers in kind of places like that. And you just, I think when we first heard where it was and the scope of the devastation, I think you just realize how shattered that place is because everyone will know someone. And I think for us, that's still setting in of just how tightly knit this place was and how profound this will be for people.
Yeah. So, I mean, 9 people killed in the attack and the suspected perpetrator, who is believed to be a female, according to police, with a self-inflicted wound in the school. But the police, as you say, not saying how many of that number are children, but the attack happened in a secondary school. What have the police been willing to say about that?
I mean, surprisingly nothing. I mean, I want to give them credit for this is a very terrible situation, and I think they're just there is privacy concerns about kind of releasing the names of victims before families are notified. But I think I and other reporters were very shocked at how little information the police were willing to give. They did say that the school went locked down. Teachers, obviously, as sadly they do in these situations, stepped in and helped. We just don't know who was affected by the shooting in terms of kind of casualties. We'll probably learn that today or maybe tomorrow, but in many ways, I mean, others speaking to members of the community, people are flying blind, and I think there's a sense that kind of people need to be notified of kind of who was involved before all that is released to the public.
So the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School is going to be closed until the rest of the week. You can, I mean, unbelievable to imagine what the staff and parents are going through there. But are there security measures across Canada in response to this? People must be feeling very shocked and shaken.
I mean, shocked is, I think, a good way of describing how people are making sense of this. I think the sad reality is there are security measures in place in schools, and there have been for years. I mean, my wife is a teacher, and the fact that she kind of knows lockdown stuff is very troubling. Mm-hmm. It's just terrible.
Yeah. Terrible. I mean, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, has cancelled his foreign visits this week. He has tweeted about the horrifying nature of this attack, calling it horrific, sending his prayers to the victims and their families. But I mean, like you say, there's this shock, isn't there? Because this is the type of shooting that, tragically we've become somewhat accustomed to talking about in the US, but in Canada it's extremely unusual.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scope is horrific. It's the second worst mass shooting in Canadian history. The other one also being a school in 1989 when a shooter targeted 14 women. There's so much we don't know about the weapons that were used. I can tell you the gun laws in Canada are very different from they are in the US. It's very hard to own a handgun in Canada. It's next to impossible to own what we would call an assault-style rifle. But, this is a rural community, right? People hunt, people are gun owners. There is a high degree of gun ownership in Canada. It's a very different kind of gun that you might see in the United States. And so I think as a result, gun violence takes a different form in Canada. It's often kind of gang-related shootings or kind of in more urban centers. So to see something like this, I think we're all trying to digest what happened last night, because I think it's not unprecedented, but it's shocking.
Yeah, and like you say, it is very difficult to acquire legal license to possess a handgun. So, I mean, are there conversations about gun reform happening today in light of this or last night?
I mean, I think we've been having these conversations for years in Canada, and there's been this tension between kind of people who are gun owners in rural communities who feel as though there's been kind of government overreach in terms of what guns are classified as, say, an assault-style rifle. Like, I can tell you the government for handguns has made it next to impossible. You can legally own one, but you have to have it secured in your house, and the only place you could use it is a gun range, and it has to be secured. The laws make it very difficult, and Canada also has very different kind of what you would call maybe stand your ground laws. Right. So kind of the law isn't always on your side when it comes to kind of self-defense. So like we have just a very different relationship with both guns and how they're used in society. But again, this is British Columbia. This is rural British Columbia. A lot of people do own guns for hunting. And so I'm not sure this is going to really kind of prompt a discussion about gun laws in the country. But again, there's also so much we don't know about kind of what was used in this attack.
Yeah, and obviously the police investigation will be continuing today. But as we said earlier, police are not looking for anyone else in connection with this at the moment. And the suspect, believed to be a female who took her own life at the scene. But I mean, where does this go next from here, do you think, Leyland? I mean, presumably you're talking to people in Tumbler Ridge who have lots of questions about how this was able to happen.
I mean, I think this is a time in which kind of the nation is just trying to come together and make sense of this. And, as a journalist, my job is to tell the stories of people who want to speak about those who are affected by it and kind of help readers understand the place and how it's changed forever.
Yeah. Well, Leyland, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lucy.